There is a moment that dog owners describe in almost identical terms, no matter where in the world they live or what kind of dog they loved. It is a quiet moment, usually unexpected, where their dog simply turns and looks at them. Not begging for food. Not reacting to a sound. Just looking. And somehow, in that look, everything feels like it is being said at once. If you have ever had a dog reach the end of their life, you know that moment. And if you haven't, and you love a dog right now, you will carry this video with you when that day comes. Because today we are going to talk about something most people avoid. We are going to talk about what is actually happening inside your dog during the final chapter of their life. Not just emotionally, but biologically, psychologically, evolutionarily. Because what science has discovered about how dogs experience their own dying is not dark or frightening. It is, in a very profound way, one of the most beautiful things you will ever learn about the animal you love. Let's start with the question almost every owner asks first. Does your dog know they are dying? The honest answer is, not the way you do. Dogs do not sit with an abstract concept of their own mortality the way humans do. They are not thinking about the future in those terms, they are not afraid of what comes next in a philosophical sense. But here is what they do have, and it is something that, in many ways, is more powerful than understanding. They feel it. Dogs possess approximately 300 million olfactory receptors in their noses. For comparison, humans have around 6 million. That extraordinary sensory machinery does not just pick up the world around them. It picks up the world inside them. When a dog's organs begin to slow down, when chemical processes in the body shift, when the blood chemistry changes and cellular function begins to decline, your dog can literally smell those changes happening within their own body. They cannot name what is happening. But they know, on a deep, ancient, biological level, that something fundamental is shifting. And rather than experiencing that as a concept of death, they experience it as a change in sensation. A change in their world. And they respond to it the way dogs have always responded to the world, through instinct, through emotion, and through the relationship that means most to them. Which brings us to one of the things that confuses and sometimes breaks the hearts of owners the most, the choice to be alone. You may have noticed, or you may notice one day, that a dog who is nearing the end of their life starts to retreat. They move to a quiet corner of the house. They go under a bed. They stop following you from room to room. And for an owner, this can feel like rejection at the worst possible time. Like the dog is pulling away just when you want to be closest. But here is what that behavior actually is. It is millions of years old. In the wild, a sick or weakened animal moving away from the group is not giving up. It is protecting the group. Predators target weakness. A pack traveling with an animal that is slowing down, that is emitting the scent of illness and physical decline, becomes vulnerable. The instinct to isolate is not about despair. It is about love for the collective. It is a deeply coded piece of evolutionary programming that says, I will not be the reason harm comes to the ones I belong to. Your dog retreating to the corner of a bedroom is not abandoning you. They are doing what their DNA has spent tens of thousands of years teaching them to do when they feel the body changing. They are trying, in the only language they have, to protect their pack. And in a domestic dog, you are the pack. Now here is the other side of that coin, and this one carries its own kind of weight. Some dogs do the opposite. They cling. They follow their owner from room to room with an intensity they have never shown before. They press against legs. They rest their heads on laps for hours. They seek out contact in a way that feels almost desperate, and owners often describe it as if the dog suddenly needs to account for every second. This is not anxiety in the way we typically think of it. Research into canine neuroscience has shown that when a dog detects the scent of their primary owner, the caudate nucleus, which is the brain's reward center, activates more powerfully than with any other stimulus. More than food. More than a favorite toy. More than the scent of another dog. Their owner is, neurologically speaking, their greatest source of reward. Their safest signal. When the body is in decline and the sensory world starts to become less reliable, the scent of their person is the anchor. It is the signal that says safety, warmth, comfort, home. A dog that is clinging in their final days is not panicking. They are orienting toward the one thing their brain tells them is most reliable. They are drawn to you the way a compass is drawn north. It is not desperation. It is devotion, expressed through the only mechanism they have, Both behaviors, the isolation and the attachment, are love. Just spoken in different dialects. Now I want to talk about something that many owners experience and almost none of them expect. It is sometimes called the last rally, and it is as mysterious as it is meaningful. You may have heard stories, or you may have lived one yourself, of a dog that seemed to be in rapid decline, and then one morning, something shifted. They stood up with more energy. They ate a full meal. They played a little. They were present and engaged in a way that made you wonder if you had been wrong, if maybe they were going to be okay. And then, within hours or a day or two, they were gone. This is a real and documented phenomenon, and understanding what causes it makes it feel less cruel and more sacred. As the brain begins to experience the significant physiological changes of dying, there is evidence of a surge in organized neural activity. Gamma waves, which are associated with high-level consciousness and cognitive integration, show a sudden burst of coordinated firing. The brain, in a sense, makes one last significant attempt to restore balance. The result is a window of clarity. A lifting of the fog. A moment where the dog feels something close to how they used to feel. This is not the universe teasing you. This is the brain giving your dog a gift. A last morning of something like normal. A chance to eat, to be present, to feel your presence without the weight of the decline pressing down as heavily as it had been. If you were lucky enough to witness a last rally, you were not being fooled. You were being given a goodbye in full color rather than in the gray diminishment of illness. Hold on to that. There is another conversation we need to have, and it is one that carries more guilt than almost any decision a pet owner will ever make. Euthanasia. The word itself feels heavy, and for many owners, the decision to pursue it comes with a grief that has a very particular shape. It is not just the grief of losing the dog. It is the grief that comes from having made the choice. The quiet, relentless question of whether you did the right thing. Whether it was too soon. Whether they trusted you and you let them down. I want to speak to that guilt directly, with the science that addresses it. Euthanasia, as it is practiced by veterinarians, works in a specific and carefully understood sequence. The initial injection is a powerful anesthetic agent, and it moves through the bloodstream rapidly. Consciousness, the dog's awareness and experience of the world, is lost before the process goes any further. Long before. What sometimes follows, a muscle tremor, a reflex gasp, an involuntary physical response, these are not signs of pain or fear. They are the mechanical functions of a body that is no longer receiving signal from a conscious brain. They are reflexes, no different than a knee jerk in a sleeping person. The dog is not present for any of it. What your dog's last conscious experience is you. Your hand. Your voice. Your scent, which their brain has encoded as the most comforting stimulus in their entire world. You did not fail them. You walked them to the door and made sure the last thing they felt was safe. And that brings us to the grief that follows, and why it is important that we name it properly. There is a term in psychology called disenfranchised grief. It refers to grief that society does not fully recognize or validate. Grief that people are expected to move through quickly, quietly, without the same rituals and acknowledgement we give other losses. Losing a dog is, for many people, a textbook example of disenfranchised grief. You take a few days off work if you are lucky. People say things like it was just a dog. You feel the need to justify the depth of what you are feeling. Here is what the science says about that bond and why that grief is as real as any you will ever carry. Studies using neuroimaging have shown that when a mother looks at her child, specific emotional networks in the brain activate. When dog owners look at their dogs, the same networks activate. Not similar ones. The same ones. The bond you form with the dog triggers the same neurological architecture as one of the most profound bonds in human experience. The love is not smaller because the creature has fur and 4 legs. The love is the same. And so the grief is the same. If anyone has ever made you feel like your grief over a dog was disproportionate, they simply did not have the data. There is one last thing I want to leave you with, and it is perhaps the most important. To your dog, you are not just someone who feeds them and opens the door. You are their primary experience of the world. Their single greatest source of positive association. When researchers measure the brain activity of dogs in response to the full spectrum of stimuli available to them, what activates the reward system most consistently, most powerfully, is the scent and presence of their person. You are, in the most neurologically literal sense, their favorite thing that has ever existed. And when a dog reaches the final hours of their life, when the senses begin to quiet and the world starts to narrow, what remains longest, what the brain clings to and processes last, is the input most deeply encoded as safe, as good, as home. That is you. Your scent, your voice, the sound of your breathing nearby. If you are present in those final moments, you are not witnessing something. You are providing something. You are the last good thing your dog's brain reaches for, and it reaches for you because over a lifetime together, that is exactly what you have been. So if there is one thing to hold on to from everything we have talked about today, it is this. The dog you love is not afraid of you in those final days. They are not confused by you. They are not suffering from the knowledge of what is coming the way a human might. They are, in the most honest biological terms, still just being your dog. Still orienting toward you. Still finding in your presence everything their ancient, magnificent, olfactory-driven, loyalty-wired brain has always found there. You were their whole world. And at the end, the whole world felt like you. If this video helped you, whether you are walking through this right now or just preparing your heart for a day you hope is far away, please share it with someone who needs it. There are a lot of dog owners carrying this quietly, and sometimes the most comforting thing is simply knowing the science behind something that felt impossible to understand. Take care of yourself. And give your dog an extra moment today, just because you can.